Blog Talk Radio.
I know that a lot of people would agree with what we're saying right now, and then again they'd say except, and then they'd bring up something in their own life that they feel is, as my mother would say, bigger than a bread box. It's too hard to think of. For instance, let's say that somebody said, well, that's great, but I can't absolve and completely forgive my mother and be at peace with my mother because she was a very abusive mother and she drank all the time and she beat us kids. And so there's no way I can come to peace with that. I just can't come to terms with that, no matter how hard I try. What I like to say is, okay, I hear you, and I'm sure that didn't feel good, and I'm sure thinking about it doesn't feel good either. Think about her. Think about her as a person. Think about her as a child, how the mother grew up, what happened in the mother's life to create that kind of a woman who would actually hurt and abuse her children. And have compassion for what she experienced rather than thinking it's all about you. Because you're just in the way of the friendly fire. This person who is calling herself your mother has been through obviously holy hell or would not be exhibiting these characteristics. And that doesn't mean that I condone what the mother does, but it does mean that we can say, okay, let's absolutely forgive Mom and bring Mom into the peace in our heart. Maybe we can do this physically. Maybe we can actually go and tell Mom we forgive her. Or maybe we can't. Or maybe she won't talk to us or whatever. But it's about us then doing it for us to come to peace in our heart so that we're living in peace. And when we think about Mom, all we think about is Mom with love and compassion rather than blame and judgment about what kind of life we've lived because of her.
And sometimes it also has to do with maybe being able to separate things, For your mother will be your mother always, but your mother is also a woman. Your mother has also been a child, as you're saying. Your mother has a whole life as an individual entity separated from her being your mom. So sometimes it also has to do with our ability to separate things, Yes, she's your mom, but yes, she also has a life, and yes, she also this individual who has had to live through so many things, which are making her do the best she can right now, which is the way she's handling her motherhood with you, right?
Right, exactly. And it's a decision on our own part. It's a choice about how we're going to frame it, what frame of reference we want to use. My mother was raised as a Catholic in the old Catholic Church. She raised me in the old Catholic Church. I decided that I didn't want to be a Catholic anymore when I was in my late teens. And what I was experiencing in my life, multidimensionally, didn't have any place in the Catholic Church. There was no slot to put it in the church, There's nobody having visions and that kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah, I hear you.
So, I know you do. So that separated me and my mother. And she was afraid I was going to die and go to hell and et cetera, et cetera. When she died, I was asked to give the eulogy for her at her funeral. And people who know me were saying, what are you going to say? I mean, you're going to do this in a Catholic church. And I said, I'm going to say the truth. And what I said was, here was a woman who was left with 2 children, because my father was killed when I was 5, who was so afraid of life. And all of you who know her know how much fear she held in life. And she relied on this church to hold her. Her faith held her always. And I'm sure her faith is holding her now that she's died, and she is in a much better place. And that was truth, because her faith, her belief in her Catholic faith was so strong that she couldn't be around me because I was the bad guy. Now, I don't have to blame her for that. She held on to that Catholic faith so tightly because it's all she had. So why am I supposed to be upset because she didn't want me around? It doesn't have anything to do with me. It's her life and what she had to experience, and all I can do is love her. And you can take anything in life, absolutely anything in life, and decide how you're going to literally frame it. That's what a lot of psychologists say. Well, let's reframe this for you. You know, you can reframe it for yourself. How do you want to see the experience? Because that's what gives you the peace you're talking about, Luciana. That's what gives you the ability to be at peace with yourself, because you're no longer at war with your feelings and with other people.